All right, I'm going to negate that countdown there because it's really not needed for this recording. This is video 2 for the week. We're still talking about measures of position. We started out with the 5-number summary and quartiles and how it splits that set of data into 4 separate equal-sized pieces, 25% each. So tonight we're going to extend that actually, and I'm going to talk about box plots, interquartile range, and outliers. I don't think I circled interquartile range. I started doing it. So we're going to talk about box plots, outliers, interquartile range. So in other words, I've got 2 examples. There's two sets of data. I'm going to find the 5-number summary. I'm going to draw a box plot from it. I'm going to identify the interquartile range and what that means. And then I'm going to use the interquartile range and what I know about the set to identify outliers using Tukey's method. So I'm going to get into that right now, into the 2 sections. I did put a Wayground assignment out on Canvas. It is practice problems for this week. I did put no end time, but we do need to be kind of steady with what we're doing here so we can get into some more material before the end of the semester. All right, with that, let's move on. There we go. Yes. Okay, so I've got a set here, 2, 7, 4, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 10. There we go. What do I need to do to find the 5-number summary? Well, the first thing I need to do is take this set and put it in order. Okay, so I'm going to put this set in order. And I'm going to use a little tick mark so I know when I've used a particular number. So I've got 2 as the lowest. So I've got 2. Looks like 4 and 4 is next. Then I've got 6, 7, 8, 10 and 10. And then finally 11. Okay, they are now in order. I can easily identify the median. And then I'm going to look for Q1, which is the median of the lower 50%. And I'm also going to look for Q3, the 75th percentile point in the upper 50%. So it's the median of the upper 50. So let me do this. Okay. So I'm going to put the min, Q1, the median, Q3, and the max. There we go. So I'm going to find these right now. So the min is very easy. It's the number to the far left here. It is 2. The max is the number to the far right, and it is 11. The median is the number in the middle. So let me tick back. So it is 7. So 7 is the median. I'm going to circle that because that identifies the center of my set. So now I'm going to work with I'm going to find the median of that lower 50% because the median separates the set into 50% on one side, 50% on the other. I'm going to find the median on each side using those 50% on the lower and upper end. That's going to be my Q1 and Q3. So my median for the lower set. So when I'm looking right here, I'm looking at 4 and 4. Well, the median, you take the average between those two. So 4 plus 4 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. So the lower 50% median is 4. The upper is the same thing. We're looking at these middle 2 numbers. I intentionally put twins up there at the top as well. So I've got 10 and 10 is 20, divided by 2 is 10. So Q3 equals 10. So my 5-number summary is 2, 4, 7, 10, and 11. And that's coming from this arbitrary set that I created for this lesson tonight. And now let's draw the box plot. So I'm going to range from 2 to 11. I run out of room, so it's going to take me a second to decipher. But I think I can do it here. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I set myself up well with little tick marks. So if I look at my Q1, so this was my, by the way, let me put this down here, 2 all the way to 11. 2 is my min. 4 is my 2, 3, 4. 4 is my Q1, so I'm going to put a line right there. My Q3 is 10. Put a line right here. That's going to be my middle 50% of my data represented in this box plot. Okay, so there's the actual box. And it runs from Q1 to Q3. Now the median was 7. So I've got 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 7. So the median is going to be a line right there in the middle of the box. And it does actually fall kind of in the middle here. Actually, that could be partly my sketch and partly my small numbers at the bottom. Now your whiskers on this box and whisker plot are going to go out to the numbers on the endpoints. So I've got a 2 here, and there's a whisker that goes out to it, and an 11 here, and there's a whisker that goes out to it. Now, if 11 or 2, either one, were an outlier, then I would represent them with X's with a whisker that doesn't connect all the way to them. They would just be X's out there on the ends. Now, okay, so let me erase here at the top. I've got all the information I need for my 5 number summary. So let me erase up here so I've got a little bit of room to work with. Give me just a second. Thanks for bearing with me. Okay, let's talk about the interquartile range. So the interquartile range is the distance. It's that range from a top point to a bottom point. The top point in this case is Q3, and the bottom point is Q1. So it's that middle 50%. So you find the range of that middle 50%, you found your interquartile range. Tonight we're going to use that interquartile range with Tukey's method to determine if there are outliers here. So if I want to find the interquartile range, I could just substitute my numbers in here very easily. Q3 was 10. Take away 4, and that gives you 6. So the IQR is 6. So let me I'll put a little line here. IQR representing the interquartile range, it is 6. So you take Q3 was 10, yeah. Sorry, I had to look at my graph for a second. Q3, and then subtract Q1, which is 4, and you get 6. Okay, that's the interquartile range. Let me pull this off, and let's look at possible outliers. So I have my interquartile range. So if I take 1.5 and multiply it by my IQR, which in this case is 1.5 times 6. So in this case I get 1.5 times 6, that's going to be 6 plus 3, that's 9. So 9 is the number that I'm going to use to determine whether I have outliers or not. So this Q3 is 10, this Q1 was 4. An outlier would be a number that exceeds Q3 plus 9. It would also be a number that exceeds toward the other direction, or in the other direction. It would be Q1 subtract 9. Well, 4 subtract 9 is a negative number. I had no negative numbers in this set, so there are no lower outliers. On the other side, Q3 plus 9, that would be 10 plus 9. That would be 19. I had no numbers that exceeded 19. So any number outside of 19 would be an outlier. Any number less than whatever 4 subtract 9 would be, so you've got some negative 5. Any number that is outside of that would be an outlier. So I have no outliers in this set. But again, this is Tukey's method. And I'm going to run one more example on the next page, and I'm going to run through all this one more time. Okay? I have a set, and in this week's measures of position, we are finding our 5 number summary. We're drawing a box plot, and then we're finding the IQR and determining whether there are outliers. So again, the first thing I'm going to do is put this set in order. These are arbitrary numbers. There's no context behind these problems. We're just working with the data. So I've got 3, 4, 4, 4. I think there were 3 of them. Yep. Then there's a 7, a 9, and then 12, 21, and 50. Now, at a glance, all of these numbers are single digits except for 12, 21, and 50. So it seems like that 12, 21, and 50 would probably skew this graph and pull that mean towards that higher number, especially the 50. I would assume 50 is an outlier out the gate. 21 may be an outlier. I doubt 12 is. And that's just an anecdotal look at my numbers. So I've got them in order. So I'm now going to erase the top numbers so I don't have to come back and erase everything all at once. Let's find our 5-number summary. In fact, let's put the 5-number summary at the top. Let's go min. Let's go Q1. Let's go median, Q3, and max. The max is easy, that's 50. The min is easy, that's 3. Lower number, upper number. The median, I'm going to have to count back and find that middle number. 7. Yay. 7 is my median. Now, I need to look at these lower, this lower 50%, and this upper 50%, find the median of each of those. So right here, I have like twins again, as I call them. So you got a 4 and a 4. So 4 plus 4 is 8, divided by 4 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. So my Q1 is 4. When I'm looking at my Q3 here, I'm looking at 12 and 21. So an easy way to look at this, especially with integers, like a very basic way, you could just say, whoops, let me circle that. So we're looking at 12 and 21. So we're going to go back one, up one, back one, up one, all the way down. I'm going to do a very basic, kind of a caveman way to do it. So we've got 13, 20, 19, 14, 15, 18, 17, 16. There we are. So it looks like my middle number there is, so in other words, so I'm looking at 16 and a half. So let's verify that with a little more clean look. So let's go 12 plus 21. I get 3 and 3. If I divide 33 by 2, I verified 16.5. So 2 separate ways of looking at how to find that. A very crude way, but effective. And then another way where you just take the 2 numbers, you add them up, and you divide by 2. Find the average. Okay? So what I say it was, 16.5. Let me put that up here before I forget it. And now let me get all this out of here. And do I even need the set? No, I don't need this anymore. Now I'm going to find, right now I'm going to find the interquartile range. And if you remember, the interquartile range was Q3 subtract Q1. My Q3 is 16.5, and I'm going to subtract 4. So 15, 14, 13, 12. 12.5. 13, 14, 15, 16.5. So my IQR is 12.5. Okay? Let me erase this out. So I found in that middle 50% of my data, I found the range from Q1 and Q3. I'm going to use that in just a second to determine whether I have outliers or not. Whoops. So I'm going to take 1.5 times that 12.5. It should be 18. What did I get? 18.75. Okay, 18.75. So before I draw the box plot, how do I determine if there are outliers here? Well, I take Q3 plus that 18.75, and I take Q1, subtract that 18.75, and that tells me where my outliers will fall, if there are any at all. So Q1 is 4. 4 subtract 18.75 is a negative number. We have no negative numbers in the set, so there are no lower outliers by Tukey's method. We didn't think there were anyway, because there was a lot of stacked single-digit numbers. The pull with the mean and everything else is going to be towards what an outlier would be out there, which I think is 50. I think 50 is going to be one. So Q3 is 16.5. So I have 16.5 plus 18.75. And I get 35.25. Anything outside of 35.25 is an outlier. So our only outlier is that 50. I think we had 12, 21, and 50. So 50 is our only outlier. And now I'm ready to draw my box plot to include whether I touch the whiskers or not. So I'll show you what I mean. Get this scratch work out of the way. And I'll go through another video and work through these again and expand a little bit. When I'll do a practice one. I'll run through some practice problems again, and then we'll talk about empirical rules. So I'll probably do one in the next video, just in case this misses you to some extent. So I have from 4 to 50. I'm not going to draw the horizontal and put the tick marks on it because I've got quite a range, and I don't think I'd have enough room on my iPad here. Not for my writing. So I'm going to start with Q1. Whoops. I'm going to start with Q1. Okay? And that is your 7. Your lower is 3. So I'm going to connect the whisker to that 3. I'm just going to write the numbers at the bottom. They may not seem in proportion to how they should lie on a horizontal line on our x-axis, but I'm just going to put them down there for reference. The next number I'm going to have is Q3, which is going to be 16.5, and that's going to have a line there. Okay, and then I'm going to draw my outlier out here at 50. And to be honest with you, I'm just going to leave it right there. I had some other numbers here, so I did have a 21. So I could also take a variant and put that out there like that, and then have my 50 as the outlier. Now, just look, whoops, I forgot one number. I forgot this. Oh, the median was 7. Hold on. I think I was looking at it correctly, and I just wrote it wrong. Anyway, so my min, then I've got 4 for my Q1, 7 for my median, 16.5 for Q3, and then 21, we're going to attach a whisker to that. 50 is an outlier, so when I look at this, I know that 50 is an outlier because it's marked with just an X with no connecting whisker. So there's my representation of my set. So tonight we talked about 5-number summary again. We took the 5-number summary and built a box and whisker plot. We found the outliers, or we found what numbers would indicate an outlier. In the first set, there were none. In this one, 50 was the only outlier. And then we drew a box plot based on our numbers and the outlier itself of 50. So that's all I've got tonight. There is one assignment in there, a Wayground assignment to practice. Make sure you understand how to work through these. Choose the right answers. Work through it carefully. And I will get back with another video. We're going to talk about empirical rule and z-scores with measures of position, and I'll do one additional example with all of this in that video as well, a real quick down and dirty at the beginning. That's all I've got for tonight. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps a little bit as you're trying to get through the problems and learn this material. And we'll see you in the next video.